One of my favorite things about Stardust Crusaders is that it was an actual adventure the whole way through. The various stands, even though they just got introduced, the way they adapt the world around them, especially the way Araki adapts the real world onto Jojos. Usually for a lot of animes, at least from the animes I've seen, there's not really much of that. It's pretty creative. More on the stands, they're honestly so cool. Like Anubis, that nigga was going crazy. The fact that he can possess anyone that achieves his sword is wild. The world was going crazy throughout the end of part 3. Whole Horse is a sneak. That guy's ass. Death 13. If Death 13 locked in, he could have killed everyone. He was playing too much. Speaking of Death 13, this nigga Dio was getting anyone to fight the Crusaders. An orangutan, a baby, a bird, whatever the hell this guy is, a sword, and a nigga that had the sun as a stand. How do you even find someone of this? How can you even prove this to Dio without just vaporizing him? And all of these niggas will do the craziest dick riding I have ever seen in my life. Women just throwing themselves to Dio without a single care in the world. Vanilla Ice was willing to kill himself and give his own blood to Dio so he can control Jonathan's body faster. The blind guy, I forgot his name, not gonna lie, killed himself so he couldn't even give Dio the slightest disadvantage. Darby was hyperventilating just because Jotaro told him to tell Dio's stand ability so he can match his bargain. Everyone would stop what they were doing just at the sight of this man Dio. This is next level aura lobbing. Why is everyone glazing this man? What do y'all see in this guy that I don't? And I'm sorry for the random Speedwagon slander, but if Speedwagon was still alive, he'd be doing the most of it, bro. He would lose his mind. Dio doesn't help either. This guy is always doing some form of bullshit in every scene he's in, especially at the Polnareff scene. Let me analyze this real quick. Dio gives Polnareff 2 options: descend 2 steps and join Dio as an ally, or go up the remaining stairs. Obviously, my guy Polnareff goes up the stairs. This man Dio stops time and takes his time and effort to walk down the stairs, perfectly position Polnareff down 2 steps, walk back up, and gaslight him like nothing happened. JoJo characters will do anything for the sake of aura farming. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to add about Dio's followers, it's one thing to call someone your leader, it's another thing to call someone your master. All of these mofos call Dio their lord. You are a grown-ass man calling another grown man your lord. Unless it's Jesus Christ, there is no reason for you to be saying this. And Polnareff? Yo, I heard there was a small plot with him in part 5, and I hope he does not get the violations he got in part 3, because holy. Polnareff already had a deal of finding the guy who killed his sister, and it was so satisfying to see him get his revenge. But for some reason, this guy has the worst RNG, and he's just paired up with the most obnoxious stands in the whole verse. This nigga Polnareff had to deal with a stand throwing straight bullshit around the hotel. This nigga Polnareff had to fight a stand who can attack people under reflections of objects. This nigga Polnareff had to deal with a stand that can control people from the slightest of wounds. This nigga Polnareff wished for her dead sister to come back to life and had to fight her for almost an entire episode. This nigga Polnareff got turned into a kid just because he was in the shadow of Stan and had to get his ass beat for an entire episode. This nigga Polnareff got possessed just from touching a sword alone. That Anubis fight was fire, so I'll let that slide. But oh my god, this man's RNG is unfathomable. Don't even get me started on the fact that he had to witness 2 Joe Bros die saving him in order to beat Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice was busted, by the way, and he was a vampire. Yeah, that guy had to go. And it's crazy because Polnareff will do creative shit with his stand and just never do it again. Like when he used Silver Chariot Speed to create After Urban just to fight with him. This was fire. I don't know why he never used this after the Avdol fight. And Avdol? This guy really died 2 times. I like his stand, but I really feel like he only does the bare minimum. I don't know, he was just a background character until he quote-unquote died saving Polnareff. Then showed up again, had aura when he came back, but he did not do much after that. I mean, even Iggy was more of a help at the very end than him. And his character is pretty bland compared to everyone else. I still like him, but at the same time, I have to be honest. Comparing part 2 Joseph to his part 3 self, this man is washed. Back in part 2, this man Joseph was winning fights off pure luck, plot armor, and rage bait. He would pull out the most rambunctious theatrics and then have some explanation right after. Or that one time where he pulled out a whole Tommy gun on straight show and strapped 10 grenades on his back with no elaboration. Now in part 3, he's either being used as a humiliation ritual, an example for the rest of the Crusaders to know what a stand does, or just dumbfounded at everything that's happening. You fought Wamu, ECDC, and Cars. Those niggas had thousands of years of experience. What are we doing? If this was part 2 Joseph against that orangutan, he wouldn't beat that orangutan. I don't care. Prime Joseph wouldn't have one-shot that magnet girl too. If part 2 Joseph fought Darby, Darby would have lost the moment Joseph slammed the bottle on the table. Joseph has never played a video game in his life and he'd still find a way to beat Darby younger. If this was part 2 Joseph and he was put against Dio, he is winning. I don't know how, I don't know what way, but he's winning. The moment he guesses what Dio's gonna say next, it's over. All right, Glaze aside, I still respect Joseph. He's trying his best. What are you even talking about? Iggy really locked in at the very end, bro. I never really cared about him that much, but after seeing his death, and he died saving Polnareff, gotta give my dog props. Gotta give my dog props. Moving on to Kikyoin, I'm gonna get into this writing later, but that 20-meter Emerald Splash was so cool. It wouldn't have worked on a lot of stand users. Kikyoin should have beaten Darby younger. Yes, I'm biased, I'm sorry, but Jotaro beating Darby and his younger brother is actually wild. And Jotaro didn't even beat him on his own. It was Joseph that was helping him out of all people. And they would have never found out Dio's ability without Kikyoin. This is why they had to nerf him the second they went in Egypt. Oh yeah, getting into his writing of not wanting to make friends because no one could see who he really was, which is his Heinrich and Green, is great characterization for a stand user. A lot of characters don't even put that much merit into their stance, so it's cool seeing stuff like that. And him meeting Joseph, Jotaro, Polnareff, and Avidal, helping him realize what true friends are like. This show is just so peak, bro. The only thing I don't like is that this backstory does come out of nowhere. Like with Seizure, there's actually stuff that foreshadows his backstory. We knew he had a lot of respect for his family, we just didn't know fully until his fight with Wamu. But other than that, I still like his character a lot. Alright, let's actually talk about Jotaro. Oh my god, bro. Oh. Keep in mind, all of this is after Jonathan, who doesn't have the most personality in the world, but he still got me engaged nonetheless. Especially the ending of part 3, I love that. And Joseph, if Joseph got replaced by any other Joestar, part 2 would not have hit the same. So after these two characters, I'd expect Jotaro to be as good as Jonathan and Joseph, if not better. He's not. He really isn't. And I know I put him equal to Jonathan in my last video, but I'm not gonna lie, I take that back. He's cool, don't get me wrong, but looking back at it, I really don't know. There are times Jotaro does show personality, but a lot of it is just in the background. Most of the time, he's just dry. Not gonna lie, looking back at this segment now, I take this back. I don't know why I saw this and then proceeded to put a clip of Jotaro laughing in the first 30 seconds of this video. I don't think he's entirely dry anymore. There are a lot of instances of him showing emotion. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to add, JoJo has some bland female characters other than Lisa, bro. Like, as I'm editing this video, I'm literally at part 5. And my point still stands. Maybe it's gonna change when I finish part 5 or maybe when I get to part 6, but yeah. Anyway, back to the video, I just wanted to clarify that. But the thing I can say is that every fight he's in is super entertaining. Like when he fought Kikyoin, that beatdown and the sound effects, oh my god, that shit was hard. That shit was hard. I don't even know how Kikyoin survived that. And the beatdown Jotaro gave to Steely Dan after an episode of Humiliation Rituals, Star Platinum scream after beating Enduel, Jotaro versus Anubis. Matter of fact, let me play a clip of that fight right now, because I want y'all to see this. And then Jotaro snapping Anubis' katana in half in order to win. Like, that fight was so fire. I don't know what else to say. Every time Jotaro looks like he's gonna lose, whenever this song plays, you already know it's over. And Jotaro's fight against Dio could be one of my favorite fights so far. The build up beforehand with Joseph finding out Dio's ability thanks to Kikyoin and trying to tell Jotaro, only for Dio to stop time to kill Joseph right in front of him. The revelation that Dio and Jotaro have the same type of stand, Jotaro constantly outsmarting Dio sucking Joseph's blood. I deadass thought Joseph was gonna die at that moment, bro. And then Dio slamming a whole steamroller onto Jotaro. No. I deadass gotta talk about this shit. This man Dio kicks Jotaro onto a highway, stops time, and you think he finished Jotaro off like a normal person. No! This nigga flies to a whole construction site and slams a steamroller onto Jotaro and beats it down with his elbow. The flying is already egregious, that was never explained, but a whole steamroller. This is ridiculous. And then Jotaro stopping time and finally dealing with Dio for good. Jonathan would be proud, man. Jonathan would be proud. And then Jotaro and Joseph parting ways with Polnareff, that was a great ending. Low-key might take that Jotaro not showing much emotion thing back, not gonna lie. But now that I said everything I wanted to talk about, let's cover the OVA for a bit. In my opinion, I feel like the anime is way better. The OVA's pacing is insane. Like, it took 14 episodes for them to go from Japan to Egypt. It should have been way longer, especially with the amount of followers Dio had. Iggy barely does anything. I mean, he helps, but like, unintentionally. So the Polnareff versus Vanilla Ice fight was extremely butchered. And Vanilla Ice just dies to Palmer of Silver Chariot, despite Vanilla Ice getting Dio's blood, which should have made him a vampire. And the group doesn't have nearly as much chemistry as they had in the anime, but I still think the OVA is good. And the villains were a lot more threatening. Like, the orangutan was actually about to beat Jotaro if Palmer didn't help out. Justice basically sent a whole zombie apocalypse to the Crusaders. Matter of fact, let me talk about this episode more. The animation here was so fire. The scene with Enya sending the wave of zombies at Jotaro only for Jotaro to punch them all out of the way, that was cold. That was honestly cold. All it needed was just the anime sound design, and that would have been perfect. Avdol's Magician's Red is done so well in this episode. It's honestly better than how the anime portrayed it. And Avdol wasn't dead for 10 episodes, so that does help. But just look at this. Oh my god. And the way the Cross just sits there and lets us take it all in, and then Avdol oral farming in the next scene. If this was the anime, they would have not made Magician's Red like this. And then Jotaro sees this as an opportunity to oral farm too. If this was the anime, they would have ruined this. They would have put a black box on Jotaro's cigarette or something like that. The episode with Endo's stand, finally remember his name, emphasizing that one sound could be the deciding factor of the entire fight. Like, Endo was literally suffocating Polnareff until Avdol saved him. OVA Avdol did a lot more than what he was doing in the anime. I'm so thankful for that. And the Jotaro versus Dio fight, that was fire, especially when Jotaro threw that tower. I don't know if the OVA did the fight better, but in my opinion, the OVA portrayed Dio's time stop better than the anime. Mostly because they really showed that Dio could stop time at any moment and do whatever he wants to do in an instant. And I thought that was pretty cool. Some other stuff I liked about the OVA was the ending with Jotaro crying at the end. That was sad. OVA Jotaro shows a lot more emotion than he does in the anime. And the art style's cool, especially with how they designed Star Platinum and the world. Anyway, to end the video off, I give Stardust Crusaders a 9 out of 10. Amazing story, mostly great characters, great villains, love the adventure aspect of the whole thing, peak fights, as well as the ending. That was really good too. And for the OVA, I'd rate it a 7 out of 10 for the same reasons. Just wish the pacing was better. That's all I have to say. See y'all later.